Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. This is Carmen with Elemental Designs. Today I'm going to be sharing with you an art journal page. This art journal page was created on a Canson watercolor pad. It's 9 by 12, and I really enjoy working on these types of paper pads, if you will, these types of books, because they're really the pages are really nice and sturdy. I mean, they are for watercolor, so they're nice and heavy. They can take a lot of medium. If you want to get really heavy with it, you can. And it usually handles it really well. For the most part, I always try to take advantage whenever I do see the Canson SXL watercolor books on sale. I will try to leave a link in the description area down below for this book that I'm using. That way, if you've never seen it before, if you've never heard of it, you can go and check it out. It's only 30 pages, but you can totally use both sides, which will make it into 60 pages. Or what I've done actually in the past is I've taken all of the pages out and I've folded them in half to make a smaller art journal, which works just as well. So you guys, for this art journal page, I knew I wanted to sketch a face. I've been kind of in the mood to create faces lately, so I've been doing a lot of sketches and a whole bunch of different designs. A lot of you guys may know that I have been kind of on the design front as far as creating my own types of embellishments, my own types of chipboards, and just the kinds of things that I like to use in my mixed media work. And I've been working on sketching some new silhouettes, some new ladies, but before they become a silhouette, they usually have a face. And then, I turn them into silhouettes, basically. So this is just another one that I'm most likely going to be recreating as a silhouette later on. But I really do thoroughly enjoy. For me, sketching is like my first passion. And granted, I'm not that great at it. I'm okay, but I still have a lot to learn. I don't think you ever really stop practicing. You never really stop, you never stop learning, basically. And like I said, I've been sketching faces for years now, and I still don't have it 100%. My faces are somewhere in between, like whimsical and realistic. They're like somewhat of a hybrid. Although I do tend to lean more towards realistic looking faces more so than whimsical looking faces, if that makes any sense. But yes, you guys, so after I did my original sketching, because obviously I'm going to have a lot of eraser lines, just from trying to get proportions right, making sure that things are at least somewhat leveled. um, I can't, you can strive for perfection, but it's really hard to accomplish and achieve. So in the process of trying to get it to at least to a place where you feel good about it, you will most likely end up doing a lot of erasing. And I'm very heavy handed, so as much as I try to put in my lines really light, I always end up putting my lines in really dark and having to do a lot of erasing. So now that I have my face more or less where I want it, excuse me, I have my face more or less where I want it now. I'm going to go ahead and grab my Faber-Castell water-soluble crayons. I absolutely love these things. I've had them for a little while. I don't pull them out quite enough, but I do love them. As well as the gelato and the skin tone. Those are always, at least for me, I found them to be really good starting bases to like fill in larger areas, especially when I'm working on like faces. Or anything to do like that. I usually will go ahead and grab, one of the skin tone crayons and just kind of fill the whole thing in and just give it a preliminary, kind of base. And then I'll go in and add other mediums over it and do other things with it. To paint this one, I'm using a watercolor brush. This is a brush that I just received not so long ago, and I've just been playing with it quite often. And basically any watercolor brush will do. And I guess I pulled it out because I'm using a watercolor book. So I was like, hey, might as well. But basically any kind of brush will do for me. I love all brushes. They're all created equal in my eyes. So yes, you guys. So basically, I'm just again, kind of diluting all of the crayon, making sure that everything is pretty much covered. Um, and the brush, had to keep squeezing it all the time just to get the kind of like the liquid out of it, kind of get the water out of it. But I got myself a little refill of my cup and made my life a little bit easier. But yeah, I mean, it's really, really smooth, this crayon. It dilutes perfectly. I mean, you don't really get any harsh lines left behind. I know I've had other watercolor crayons that don't dissolve all the way, or they'll leave scratches on the paper. Some of the pigment doesn't dilute all the way, so you end up with like little chunks, or you'll just end up with this really ugly looking thing underneath all the layers. Because for me, I do a lot of layers when it comes to my work, regardless if it's paper, paint, whatever it is that I'm using. With me, it's all about building up. It's all about building those layers. So like I said, I really do enjoy thoroughly working with this. And for me, it makes a hard job easier. I don't have to pull out so many paints of bottle, so many paint bottles, not paints of bottles. I don't have to pull out so many paint bottles, and I get to add like lighter lighter shadows here and there. And if I want to build them up and make them darker, then at least I know where I kind of set them, and if they look good, then I can always set them further by just going over there with a watered down like acrylic. And that's another thing that I do like to do, is kind of use my watercolors themselves as if they were acrylic, and I do that by diluting the paint as I go. So for some projects, for some things, I will use the paint as it is, and I'll just full on acrylic painting with it. But for something like this, where I'm kind of blending in with a lot of different water mediums, I try to dilute the paint because it blends better with the other watercolor that I have underneath if I start with the acrylic already kind of watered down. Because acrylic it dries really, really fast, but by watering it down, you kind of give yourself a little bit more work time. And you have to be really careful how much water you add, because again, it can basically wash the whole thing out. So just a little bit of water at a time as you go blending, and as you go placing the color where you need. And if you're new to my channel and you've never seen me draw before, or if you've never seen any of my faces or canvases, I have, oh my goodness, so many of those on my channel. And I've got canvases and services of all types, where I've painted some faces on it. And I do apologize for any background noise that this might be picking up, just to put that out there. I do live by a window. Well, I don't live by a window. Let me rephrase that, you guys. Oh my goodness. My bedroom has a whole wall of windows, is what I should say. It's got a whole wall that's got 3 huge windows, and we're facing the street side. So I live right by a school, right by the post office. There's a lot of traffic, and also through where I live is where everybody goes on to get to, like the highways and the routes, so on and so forth. So I do get quite a bit of traffic, and it's basically unavoidable from all sides of the house. So thankfully, it's not super busy, but every now and then you will hear that traffic. So what you guys see me doing now is adding some white paint. Now this is something that I found on Hobby Lobby on clearance, and it's by Brea Reese, and it's actually it's a paint writer, and it's actually a heavy body acrylic. I haven't really played too much with heavy body acrylics. I will say that this is really thick, almost consistency that you can use through a stencil. But as you guys are going to see later on, I did try that. It didn't work out so well for me. So it's not quite that thick, but definitely usable. Sometimes I get stuck just watching myself. When I'm watching these videos over, like I'll just get completely stuck. I don't know if that happens to you, but I just love this part of art so much that it like kind of puts me in somewhat of a trance. And I can totally just like have everything muted, no audio, no sound, no nothing, and just watch the movement of the hands and watch the colors blending, and just feel so like inspired to do more as it progresses. Now, I will say that I do have a tendency, um, I don't know if it's so much of a tendency, but I have been known to kind of mess things up. And you guys are going to see I had a huge blooper on this, and I tried my best to fix it after I did it because my mind kind of was gearing me in a different direction at one point. And I was trying to do something different with it. At least that's where I was originally going with it, but I didn't feel like I had enough space on the paper to actually do what I was trying to do. So then halfway I was like, you know what, I'm gonna save that idea to do it on a bigger surface, on a bigger canvas, or at least I'm gonna do the girl smaller so that I can fit more detail within that background. So my vision did kind of shift, which will happen. It does happen quite often, and it's quite okay. You don't have to start a whole new piece every time that you know, kind of switch gears a little bit. um, I continued this one, and I'm really glad that I did, because I was very tempted to almost start a whole page at the beginning, because I'm like, oh man, I didn't press the record when I was doing the actual sketching of the face, which was the original idea. It's like I didn't press the record when I was doing the actual face, and now, oh my goodness, um, should I start a whole new one? I'm like, I don't want to mess up this page and, you know, start over. So I just used it. But I will try to get in more of that actual sketch time for you guys on the next one. If that's something that you really want to see, make sure that you sound off down below and you let me know that that's something that you would really like to see, and I'll make sure to include that, or at least make certain videos that is only about the sketching process. That way I don't have to make the videos super long. Long videos for me is something that is really hard to avoid, you guys, because again, I do so many layers, my mind goes a little bit everywhere, and I'm kind of feeling my way through every single project that I create because I don't really plan for them too much. And even when I do, I don't plan well enough, because either I run out of time or I don't have all the things that I need. It's always something, you guys, which is kind of why I just wing it 99% of the time. um, for me, it's a lot more interesting to kind of build it as I go. Um, it's almost like a little scavenger hunt for me. So I start looking for different things, and if I feel like something's missing and I don't feel inspired by what I have, then I'm over here looking for more. Um, so it's like a whole little adventure for me, and I love it. So now that I've done most of the background, I'm going to go ahead and use this Prima stamp. Now this stamp, as well as these stencils that I'm going to be using on here, I got from myrustycrown.com. You guys, this store is amazing, and what I mean by amazing is the prices are just right. The selection of different goodies that you can get are all over the place, that you can get all different kinds of things. There's a nice selection. I will definitely be returning and getting more items from there. So definitely be on the lookout. If you haven't checked that out, go and check it out. I'm gonna tell you that you guys are gonna find some of the best prices around, and that's at myrustycrown.com, you guys. So make sure that you check it out. Just don't get everything, because I want some stuff too, you know. And trust me, when you see those prices, you're gonna be like, oh yes. And if there's something that you don't see, you can go ahead and contact the owner. She has, you know, obviously the contact information. You can contact her directly and let her know what it is that you're looking for, and maybe she can get it for you. And again, like I said, the prices are going to be awesome, so definitely worth the checkout. So back to what I was doing here. So you guys kind of saw me adding some neon colors in the back. I went with a like a blue and a pink over the stamping. I used my brayer to kind of just apply that here and there. And now I'm going with Royal Ruby, and that is a dazzling metallic paint. And I'm using an Antonis. I would say that name in Spanish perfectly, but in English is a little bit more difficult. Okay, so as I was saying, the mixed media stencil that I'm using are by Stamperia. and this one is by Antonis Sanadakis. And I also use another Stamperia as a media stencil, and it is called, let me see if there's a name to this. It doesn't have a name per se, but you guys are going to see it. So both of the stencils that I used are by Stamperia. And that little piece of chipboard is something that I just cut out just to kind of fit around the frame. It was a piece of scrap that I had already kind of used up on other projects, so I had some pieces left over, and I had enough space left over that I can kind of cut somewhat of a, you know, a makeshift little silhouette real quick. Just so that I can kind of go around the edges. And I'm applying the Royal Ruby with a brush. You can use, you know, a stipple brush. There's different like stencil brushes or different ways, a sponge. There's different things that you can apply stencils with. I was just trying to figure out, you know, how to make them all kind of connect, if you will. Like I said, when I started doing this art journal page, I had a different idea in mind for what I wanted to do. But as it started to evolve, those ideas kind of shifted a little bit. But I still think it came out really, really awesome. And I hope that you guys so far are enjoying how this whole transformation is kind of coming to life. And I use a magic eraser for the most part to clean off my brushes. I find that the magic eraser actually is really good at getting rid of all those little bits and pieces. Alright, you guys, so here's where my blender kind of started in. I was actually going to take this part out of the video, but I decided to leave it in because it's good for you guys to see that we are not perfect. We do make mistakes. I know sometimes we'll show you guys a finished product and you guys will be like, oh my god, you know, it's so perfect, it's so amazing, it's so many, you know, awesome things, but you don't see all the bloopers, you know, all the different things that we have to go through just to get it to that point where everybody is like, oh my god, it's so cool. So as you guys see, I love all things Faber-Castell. This is another Faber-Castell product. This is their water-soluble charcoal pencils. And these are great. They're kind of like the Stabilo All, but they're not quite like the Stabilo All. But they do tend to write on most surfaces, I will say. So with this, I started kind of penciling in what her hair shape was going to be. And then I'll just use some water to kind of activate that charcoal and fill in some of that area so that I kind of see, okay, where I want this to go. So again, this paper, I didn't gesso this paper, which is actually another cool plus about working with the Canson XL watercolor paper pad, because the paper is so thick, and again, it's water absorbent. It has a good capacity to absorb liquid, that I honestly didn't even feel the need to gesso the page or prime the page in order to start working on it. I was able to start working on it right away. With some papers, you really can't do that because they're so thin that you have to prime that paper, or the minute that you add anything, it's going to seep right through and you're going to see it on the other side. I wasn't really too worried about that with this. Now granted, to turn these into art journals, if you are somebody that loves working on art journals, you're going to go through this really fast, which is why we tend to go towards the other art journals. They have a lot more paper because you know, it'll last you a lot longer. But again, I just love working on this paper to create my art journals, and whenever I find them on sale or whenever there's a good discount around or available, I will definitely make sure to use that. I got this from Amazon, and I believe I paid like $5 for it. It was like $5 or $6. It was really inexpensive, and I absolutely love it. I have to get more. So here I'm kind of just getting in all the shading and just filling in all the hair area, seeing exactly, you know, what I like, what I don't like. You guys are going to see this transform a little bit while I kind of get it into exactly how I want it to be, how I want it to look. I still wanted to be able to see some of that, all of that stenciling that I did in the background. So I didn't make it too dark, but I did go in and kind of darken it up a little bit more here and there. But when you have it up close, you can still see some of that metallic paint kind of still shining through. You can still see some of that stenciling shining through. And I kind of wanted her to be somewhat of a hybrid between a human and a robot. Originally, that was what I was kind of going for, which is why I added like the copper and the pipes and things of that nature to the piece. I used that stencil to create some of that background. But again, as the vision kind of changed, everything else kind of changed along with it. And because of that, this video, if it would have been in its real time, we would have been looking at least almost 3 hours worth of work to create this page from start to finish. I did stop a lot of times in between the process, just to handle household things. You guys know how that goes. So I did stop it a few times to kind of get, other things done. But I love how it came out overall. And sometimes you need to take a little break from what you're creating. Sometimes it's good to kind of walk away from it and then come back to it, because you'll come back with a whole bunch of new ideas. As your brain is kind of like on a pause, if you will, from whatever it is that you were working on. Usually, you'll be able to, come up with, your mind will start, showing you different things, if you will. It'll start showing you that image in different ways, and at least that's how it is for me. I kind of envision stories, if you will. So, as you guys can see, I'm still trying to kind of implement that original look that I was going for into this. But I don't know. I wasn't really feeling it 100%. I think that I needed to start off a little bit different. So that idea that I had originally, I will be creating something with that. But I'm gonna probably do that in an upcoming video, or maybe even in an upcoming live. You guys will let me know down below what you guys would like to see. If you like to see this process in live, or if you like to see the process in video. For me, because like I said, it does take me quite some time. I do like to do these kinds of things live, because all bloopers, everything is all included, and you don't have to worry about speeding up the video. I mean, while you're there engaging and you're live with people, time tends to fly, so you don't realize how long the process really takes. But when you're doing it like this, and then you're going through it to edit it, and all of that, it feels long. It feels like a longer process, but this is how I work, you guys. This is how I work. And as much as I've tried to switch that up, I always fall back to the same, the same comfort zone, if you will. And while I have you guys here, I wanted to take the chance to kind of let you know that I am going to be opening up my own little shop online. I'm not so sure if I'm going to be like selling merchandise as far as like other products and services and things of that nature, but I'm definitely going to be selling like my own designs, my own stencils, my own chipboards, my own chipboard type of embellishments, type of things that you can use with your mixed media projects or even on other projects. So be on the lookout for that. I will come out with more information about that coming out shortly. Right now, I'm working on creating, enough designs to kind of fill in the storefront, just to kind of get it started. So I am kind of working on that. I already have my domain, and I've been working on setting up setting up the hosting and setting up the services and everything. And I'm very old school with that. I tend to do my own installation, my own everything. A lot of people don't know that I did go to college for computer science, so I am very computer savvy for most things. I know how to take them apart, I know how to rebuild them, I know how to fix them. I can usually figure out what the problems are, and I've done a lot of fixing people's computers for my own home, even though they're like really, really far away. So yeah, it's a little hidden passion of mine is working on computers as well. So all of the steampunk, all of the grunginess, all of those things are things that I do actually love. I love that because it kind of incorporates a little bit of my other passion as well when I work on those types of projects. Um, so yes, you guys, that's gonna be super super exciting. I have a lot of designs. Some of them I already showed you guys. Some of them are not gonna be a part of this, but some of them are. I have gone ahead and done some changes to some things, and for the most part, it's gonna be super super amazing when I do the official reveal. And if you're watching this, I will be doing a giveaway when I do launch that. So make sure that you are current and you've been up to date with like the channel, the videos and the channel and things of that nature, and things that are going to be coming up, because I'm going to be paying close attention to those that have been supporting my channel and have been supporting my videos, because it's not going to be a normal giveaway that I'm going to be doing when I do that. I am going to be most likely picking people from previous videos that have consistently commented and engaged, and been a part of my lives and things of that nature. And when I do that, I am going to be giving away a huge part of my collection of my designs. When I do come out with them, you're going to get a whole little kit, and I might be doing more than one. We'll see how that goes, but just to kind of throw that out there. So you guys see in the background I've kind of messed up, and now I'm like, I wanted to change direction. I didn't like the lines on her forehead. I didn't like the lines coming down on the nose. So I'm gonna try to blend that out and remove some of that as much as possible. I'm going to try to blend some of that out and smooth some of that out. So I'm trying to basically blend, blend those lines out, trying to make it so that you can't really see them that much anymore. You can still kind of see a little bit of it, and basically all you have to kind of do is just use some of the same colors that you use to kind of start it off with. And again, because they're water soluble, then you can kind of play with how dark, play with the degrees, play with how much of it you want, how diluted you need it to be, and that way everything kind of mixes well. I try to save it, you guys. I think I did a pretty good job saving it though overall. I think it still came out pretty cool if you ask me. I just couldn't get that little shadow off right around with her eyebrow starts. I couldn't really get that shadow all the way out. That is a really good Faber-Castell pencil, let me tell you. Once you lay those lines in there, they'll dissolve for the most part, but you'll still have that remnant still there. So I think at that point, I think I've kind of given up with trying to blend it all the way out, and I'm like, you know what, let me just see what else I can do. And I'm just adding more shadows here and there, trying to, again, put back in some of the things that I ended up taking out when I started kind of trying to remove those lines from there. And this is what's awesome about it being your own art journal, is the fact that it's yours. I mean, it's okay if you have a little bit of a boo-boo here, or if you don't do things exactly to perfection. It's okay. It's your art journal. It's where you're gonna learn. It's where you're gonna practice, and that's basically what it's for. I don't know if you guys remember from like being in school, first grade, second grade, they give you those starter notebooks. They have those really big spaces, so that you can learn how to write your alphabet, so you can learn how to write your name and all of those things. And those are basically starter books. And then you graduate from those books to the books that have like the smaller lines, and you end up writing smaller and more compact. So think of it kind of like that. Yes, you don't want to waste pages because everybody's so worried about wasting pages. Don't worry about that. You can totally make a DIY art journal book, just using even some of like, you know, scrapbook paper or using an old book. You don't have to go out and buy an art journal book. And creating gesso is super easy. I have shared that with you guys on my channel several times. And I even have a art journaling series that I did a while back, and it kind of covers all of the bases when it comes to art journaling. It goes from collaging, just all different types of things, using stencils, making your own stencils, because that's something that I've been doing since I started my YouTube. A lot of you know, how I started here was basically with my own DIY. Everything that I was basically using as far as creating my art was the DIY, from the journal, from the books, from the surfaces to the mediums. I mean, I remember creating my own paint mediums with makeup and using that to create my art. So I've been doing all of these things for years now. And I think that this is kind of why I'm at the point now where I kind of want to, you know, take it to the next level, if you will, and really, you know, really give it that time to flourish. And so that's where we are now. And I know I say a lot, you guys. I know. I just did it again. My brain kind of fills in the spaces with an. As much as I've tried to not do that as much, or even try to change that with something else, it just keeps coming out. So if that's something that is annoying to you, I do apologize. I'm trying my best to not say as much, but it just keeps coming out. And I'm sure you guys can relate to that, because we all have that buffer word that no matter what we do, it keeps kind of coming out. And I have to be extremely mindful in order to control that from, you know, slipping out. So sometimes I'm focused on other things and I don't remember, and it just kind of, you know, goes off the handle. So here what I'm doing is kind of adding a little bit more shadow, and you have to kind of take into consideration where the light sources is, and how much, when you're doing a face, like where the hair is landing, it's naturally going to cast a shadow regardless of the light. When you're working with certain hairstyles, you know, for example, if you're thinking about it more in a 3D kind of world, you're gonna, you know, you're gonna see that you are gonna create a shadow if you put your hair this way, if you put your hair that way, if you stand in this direction, or if you stand in that direction. So a good thing to kind of do, if you like, and would help you, is actually take pictures of yourself in different positions, in different angles, in front of light, away from light, and see where your shadows fall on your face, and that will help you to kind of create or add shadows in certain areas when you are trying to draw faces or paint faces. Regardless if you're using a marker, if you're using paint, or if you're using watercolor, or even with a pencil, the shading, the areas that need to be shaded will always be the same. It's always going to be around the eyes, it's always going to be in the corners of the forehead, it's always going to be around the chin, and the jawline. You're always going to have shadows there. You're going to have shadows around the nose, under the nose. Anywhere that kind of protrudes a little bit, you're going to have a shadow. You're going to cast a shadow, even if it's a light or shadow or a dark shadow. So just keep that in mind. So here you guys are going to see me try to use that heavy body paint. And I was like, oh, this is really thick. I can probably use this as a stencil. In the stencil. And nope, it didn't work too well for me. So I got rid of that. I got rid of that real quick and in a hurry. And actually what I ended up doing is mixing up some of the white paint that I had with some clear modeling paste by Deco Art. And that way I still have some of that white when it dries out, but I have a thicker consistency so that I can go ahead and kind of, you know, use that. And I'm not the greatest with cleaning my stencils, you guys, especially when I'm doing things like this. My stencils are always like, you know, full of paint, because I use stencils quite often and I don't clean them all the time right away. Sometimes I'll leave them there for a little bit, and then, you know, I'll go through like a cleaning day for stencils, and then I'll just clean up all my stencils and put them to soak in some water and soap, and, you know, gingerly and gently start cleaning some of them off. So here, this is the other stencil by Stamperia, and I just wanted to add some, you know, I like the wording and I like the style of the script, so I just wanted to add a little bit of that and incorporate that into her hair, and just kind of give her hair a little bit of texture to make it even more, you know, mixed media, add more layers. So just taking little bits and pieces of the stencil that I liked, and just adding it here and there, again, just for texture's purpose, just for the purpose of texture. Say that 3 times fast. just for the purpose of texture, I added this here and there. And I didn't like it where I put it at everywhere, so I did go and adjust that just a little bit. I wanted to make sure that I still had like the curves in her hair still showing, and that I was gonna be able to follow that quite nicely. I didn't like that top part that kind of goes into that top kind of curl or bump or whatever you want to call it. I didn't really like that, so I end up taking that part off, and I'm gonna actually put a different stencil in that area, and you'll see that. So I'm just kind of giving it a preliminary dry, not too much, but giving it a preliminary dry so I can go ahead and keep stenciling. So I've added more of the, of the black on there just to make sure that I didn't lose my lines again, and reshape the hair, make sure that everything is good. And now I'm gonna go in and add a different stencil here, and just use whatever little bits I had left. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just didn't want to leave anything behind. But I like the way it came out all the way. Overall, I like the way it came out. And I'm not going to be leaving these white. I'm going to actually be using some of that ruby, that royal ruby metallic paint, and going back into it and kind of just adding a little bit more color to the hair and adding a little bit more texture to it. And I added a little birdie. I added 2 of them. I love birds. I love adding little birds and stuff like that into all of my projects. That's something that you guys will see a lot, is me adding like little birds, things to do with wings. I love the fairy tale fantasy aspect of art journaling and creating art in general. I love that fantasy aspect of it. It always helps me to create like little storylines in my head, create like little storylines in my mind. And that actually does help me quite a lot when it comes to creating my art, when it comes to finishing them. Maybe not so much as it starts, because I never really have a storyline for it at the beginning. I don't think. I think that storyline kind of unfolds as I'm making it, and wherever I'm trying to fill in gaps, or wherever I'm trying to fill in certain things or add other layers of different things, then usually that's when the storyline starts to kick into play, because I'm like, okay, what is the purpose of her or him or whatever it is that I'm drawing or creating? What is the purpose? What is the story? I needed to somehow make sense to me, like why she has a pot on her head, or things of that nature. So I needed to make some kind of sense. So I end up kind of creating a whole little storyline to go with her. With her, her hair is made of like copper strands. And that's how I'm going to kind of incorporate the whole mechanical type of theme into it, even though she doesn't look very mechanical per se. It wasn't about her face, it was more about her hair. She kind of feeds all of that network of pipes that's happening in the background through her hair. Her hair is actually part of that. So she's kind of like a Rapunzel, but the mechanical Rapunzel, if you will. And we'll see how that whole storyline kind of plays out, because I'll be working a little bit more with that. And that's going to be kind of like the theme for even like the designs and the chipboards and things like that I'm going to be selling on my store in the future. They're all going to be story based. They're all going to have some kind of story, some kind of theme, because I believe and I strongly feel that when you're creating a whole new world, that world needs a story. And so that's definitely what I'm going to be doing, is giving those worlds a story, and that way hopefully it'll help you and inspire you to create upon that story and make it your own, because that's what we're here for. That's what this is all about, you guys. It's about encouraging, it's about supporting, and it's about inspiration. Above all things, it's about inspiration. And I hope that I have inspired you to pull out a journal or a book or a piece of paper, even a piece of scrap, and get some pencils out, get your Crayolas or whatever it is that you might have, and that you start doodling, playing, drawing, sketching, whatever it is that you like to do, and you get a little bit of creative time, a little bit of creative flow. You will definitely see more of this, coming to life on my channel as I keep moving forward. Every time that I create a new design, I will try to create some kind of art journal page or something of that nature to kind of show you examples of how you can use them, and at the same time kind of give you guys a little sneak peek of what they're going to be as they start kind of coming out. Right now I have a few, but I do have to process them. I have to process them through the machine and kind of get them all cut out. So this is going to be super fun, you guys. I've got quite a few designs already all lined up, and I'm going to be making stencils. I'm going to be making all kinds of stuff, you guys. So I do hope that you will stick around for the journey. And yes, I do appreciate you guys. I appreciate the support, the love. I appreciate all of that. I want to thank you all because honestly, you have all been my biggest motivators through your kind words, through your support over the years. You have been my biggest motivators and encouragers to continue to do what I love to do, to continue to, strive and learn and just grow as an artist, as a person. And I do want to thank you all for that because every experience has helped me to grow and become better. And it's just been amazing overall, the good, the bad, the ugly. I love it all. So it has all been super helpful. And yes, you guys, this is definitely helping me to have visions for 2021. And I'm going to be working very diligently on creating those and making that a reality moving forward. So I want to thank you all again for being a part of that. And we're almost nearing the end of this video, you guys. So as I said before, I had created a little bit of a boo-boo in the forehead area. Oops. But I think it's a blessing because I love this now. What do you guys think? Like, I love it. I think it came out super cool. And again, it just kind of feeds into the whole theme of it. She's kind of like this steampunk girl, but it's not full-blown steampunk. But she definitely has like that little bit of a mechanical aspect to it. Again, the hair is copper strands, even though I use royal ruby paint, you guys. It looks copperish, right? And here I'm just kind of giving her the source of her power, which is love. And she wears it proudly, and it's the most powerful thing that she can possess, and it gives everything life. And yes, you guys, I love it. So here I'm just kind of adding a little bit more into the eyebrows and just doing the last little bit of touches. My daughter Angie was here with me as I was finishing this up, and she's like, Mom, she needs a necklace. She needs something around the neck. And I was like, but I don't have enough neck room to give her a necklace. She's like, it doesn't matter. Make it look like it's going off of the, going off of the page. So I do go ahead and add a few of those little dots in the bottom as well, just to kind of give the inclination that she's wearing some kind of necklace. And I'm adding a little bit of that same ruby kind of like to her lips, to her eyes. So I added that ruby color in quite a lot of places to kind of tie it all together. I did go after the video was done, and I did went in and kind of took a little bit off of the outline of the lips. I made it a little bit too heavy, so I did kind of go back and kind of pull that back a little bit and used a thinner or a finer tip marker to kind of outline her lips so that it's not so heavy. But other than that, I was really pleased with how this turned out, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed this voiceover. I know the video is a little long, and if you've watched it all the way to the end, you are amazing. Thank you so much. And I hope that you will take the time to give me a thumbs up and write a little something in the comment section down below. And if you have any questions about the products or anything like that, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. And don't forget to follow me on my social media. If you're following me on Facebook, please let me know who you are here on YouTube, if you're coming from a specific channel, because my my Facebook is set on private, so I don't just let anybody in. I need to know, when it comes to Facebook, I need to know who it is, because everybody on Facebook goes by their real name, so I don't know. I don't know people's real names for the most part. I know them by their channel names. That's what we get used to calling people by here on YouTube. So If you're coming over from this side over there, just let me know, hey, it's me, such and such, and I'll be like, oh, okay, hey, how are you? And I'll let you in. So yes, you guys, and also my Instagram is open, so you guys can, you know, check me out there, follow me there as well. So with that being said, you guys, we are at the end of this video. Thank you all once again. I know I say thank you a lot, but I do really mean it, and I'm very appreciative and grateful for all of you. And I will catch you guys on the next one. A lot of fun and exciting things are going to be happening on this channel, so please stay tuned for that. Stay blessed, be safe, and for the time being, stay home. It's the best thing for you. All right, you guys, I will check you out on the next one. Bye.